Dear participants of International Youth Conference for Peace in the Future, welcome to our second meeting dedicated to the Day of History. Today we'll see our first expert, have a group discussion, and get our homework for tomorrow. Today, whom I see in front of me are not just participants, but already teams, and I would like them to introduce themselves. And we begin with team which was called number 1 and now is called Catalysts for Peace. Catalysts for Peace, please. Could you please speak about why you chose this name, like very quickly, why you chose this logo, because it has an excellent logo, about your motto and stuff. You'll have about 4 minutes.
Well, I'm glad to introduce you our team, Catalyst for Peace. In chemistry, a catalyst is a chemical substance that accelerates a reaction or process. So by means of our teamwork, we intend to increase good deals in the world in order to keep the peace all over the planet. Next slide, please.
Next, we're going to talk about our logo. As you can see, we chose light colors. This is to express kindness. The heart in the center represents peace and love. The outer parts represent our group spreading peace and love. The 4 flags around the heart are the countries the seven of us are from. It means that we are united with peace and love, no matter where we're from. Next slide, please.
As you can see the slide, you can find us on Instagram. Let's search the account name and follow it. We'll upload posts with these hashtags. And actually, we've already shared some wonderful posts. Check it out. Next slide, please.
So lastly, our group came up with a flower of peace. If you'll go and check our account and read our introductions, you will notice that each one of us has a flower of advocacy. These petals represent different pillars that are important for peace building. We have 7 because we are 7 in the group. First is community awareness, self-awareness, cultural awareness, religion, environmental awareness, social justice, and education. Each one of us represents and voices these petals, and despite our diversity, we embraced it, and together as one, we created peace, and particularly the flower of peace. Thank you, and that's all for Group 1.
Thank you very much, Catalyst for Peace. And as a person who has already been to their Instagram account, I confirm that it's absolutely brilliant, and I love their idea with the flower of peace as a center behind the power distribution in their group. Now, let us switch to a team that was called number 2 and is now known under the name A Piece of Peace.
Okay, hello, hi everyone. I'm glad to see you all, guys. And here we go. Okay, as you heard, our name is Piece of Peace. We decided to choose this name because it's short, fun, and quite bright. And I think, and all members of our team think that all we need to add a little humor to our lives. That's why we have chosen this variant. And our motto is nothing is impossible. I think this obvious thing should know everyone. Here you can see our logo. The first one is olive branch. This is piece of sign, some symbol of peace. It's a call for reconciliation. PP, it's the abbreviation, piece of peace, the name of our team, and 6 stars, and this is 6 members of our team. And this slide is for searching us in Instagram. As you can see, we have our logo and introductions of all our members. And here we have our name in Instagram. Okay, thank you for attention.
Thank you for your presentation. I would say that this is a very thoughtful team. And as I noticed already afterwards, 3 out of 6 participants are in fact medical students.
Yes, yes, a kind of medical team, I guess. Thank you.
Excellent. I suggest we continue with team number 3, which is currently called Great Mates. Are you ready? Excuse me. Rio, I believe I saw you somewhere here. Yes.
So this is our team name. It's called Great Mates, and we decided to have this name because we have a lot of countries. And then next slide. Maybe Anne can speak about this.
Oh, it's okay. Maybe our logo and motto, because we think that we want to have some peace in our logo, so we should the peace symbol and the bird, and then we also put our country, like we want to stay together in our logo, and then our motto is building friend, is building peaceful world. We believe that if we building friendship together, we can building a peaceful world. And this is social media. We choose Instagram account, and we have this hashtag, and now we already have introduction about ourselves and also our motto in the Instagram. And this is our team member. We have 17 members from 5 countries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I admit it was the first group that I saw created on Instagram, and I fell in love with their logo, which happened to be my favorite color scheme. Now our Instagram team, number 4, which is peace and friendship. I'm sorry. Could you please again ask those who are not speaking to quietly turn off their microphones for a time limit? And please, team number 4, peace and friendship, you have the floor.
Okay. I am Sakura. So I would like to introduce our group, Peace and Friendship Group 4. There are 7 members in our group, as you see in the picture. From the left, Ms. Kaichide, Ms. Ekaterina, Ms. Morita, Ms. Yangseo, Ms. Saduna, and Ms. Matrichin. This is our logo. The lower world on the planet is a symbol of our planet's victory over wars, cataclysms, and other social injustices. Pigeon as a symbol of peace and friendship. The word signifies us, and the overall message we want to portray in our logo is that we visualize an harmonious place where everyone is free from violence and conflicted societies. A world where peace, friendship, coexistence, and cultural diversity is valued. Next, how to find us online. As we live in a digitally inclined world and era, we believe that one of the fastest ways to raise awareness is through online platform, which we have chosen Instagram. We chose Instagram for the main reason that not only are we able to educate through words, but through pictures as well, so that everyone in the world will be able to visualize the importance of what we are doing. And this is the end of our group introduction. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your introduction. And speaking about your logo, either some of you are very good with Photoshop or you have found a brilliant picture online. I would like to especially remark that all those who chose Instagram as their platform also chose absolutely different and equally brilliant ways of arranging their color scheme and the style which their posts will be done. And now we go to the other social network platform, which is Facebook, and introduce Team 5, Peace Education Movers. That was fast.
Hi everyone. Good day to everyone. My name is Adrian Pinanopa. I'm from Muntinlupa City, Philippines, and I'm the leader of the Peace Education Movers. So before we start, I just like to discuss why we chose Peace Education Movers as our name of our page. So as a dance, in a dance, the dancer, they call dancer as movers because they are the one who is moving, who is learning a lot of dances and steps. So we chose movers because they take actions to aim for their goal. So we are Peace Education Movers from the International Youth Conference for Peace in the Future 2021, Group 5. Next. So before I formally start and introduce our logo and the page, I just like to introduce our members. So me, I'm Aiden Nanopa from Muntinlupa, Philippines. Next is Rina Akahata from Hiroshima, Japan. Hi. Next is Chun Fang from Chengdu, China. And Mizuki Yamaoka from Hiroshima, Japan. Elena Skabalina from Volgograd, Russia. I hope I pronounced it right. Next is Christian Klinger from Hanover, Germany. And we have another one. He is Alexander from Volgograd, Russia. So to formally start, this is our logo. We can say that this logo is really simple, but it has a lot of meaning. Everything that is in the logo has a meaning. So start with that is the yellow peace sign in the logo. It represents, in psychology, yellow represents intellect and knowledge. So for us, we believe to aim for peace, we need knowledge. We have to be well educated in everything that is happening in our society, in our economy, for us to help better and also to give help from other people. Next is the, the other one is the pigeon. That is the bird. So the bird symbolizes the aim of the International Youth Conference for Peace in the Future. And that is talking about peace and giving awareness in promoting peace. Next is the book. So for us, book is not just a paper. It is the source of all of the information and also all of the things that we need for us to be aware. So the book symbolizes wisdom and knowledge. In promoting peace, having a well-educated is important for communicating and knowing the truth for peace. And the next one is the mind and the bulb. So the mind is inside the bulb. So for us, the meaning of that is that the bulb is we have the power to switch on and switch off the bulb. So it means that we have the control in our minds. So It symbolizes that we control our mind on how we respond on everything that is happening in our lives. It is on us if we choose violence or choose the concept of peace and communication. So let's always choose peace. Next is, this is the motto of our page. We educate, we communicate, we engage for peace. Because in promoting peace, we need to educate, we need to communicate, and we need to engage. Thank you. Next is, we already said that we chose Facebook for our platform, but we think twice, we think thrice that we should use Instagram for a better opportunity, also for a better for every country, because we noticed that our chosen apps is not really that famous or being used by other countries. So you can visit our page into Instagram. So our username is Peace Education Movers. So we already have quote of the day. Every day we already have quote of the day that is promoting peace, and also in giving information of we also have highlights of the International Youth Conference for Peace in the for future. And that's all. So I hope you get it. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Adrian, very much. I love your initiative about the quote of the day stuff. And although your Instagram account is the only one I haven't subscribed to yet, I'm going there right away. So I suggest that we give a round of applause to us all, to all our teams who put a good deal of work and effort into planning their style, their logos, their mottos. And now, since our expert for today has already arrived, Инна Леонидовна, может быть, вы не откажетесь немного так комментировать, Сергея Александровича, что происходит, потому что я буду говорить про то, что непосредственно касается нашего дня и его темы. And while our expert has already arrived, I too have a brief presentation for you for today in order to explain our big team task. So let me try my luck again with my screen demonstration. Yep. So today is our day dedicated to history. Because as Mr. Kolesnikov and Dr. Unai pointed out on the opening ceremony, all our cities are united in that in their history there have been great tragedies and a lot of sorrowful past. And this is part of the reason why we vote for peace. I congratulate our teams on the beginning of their work. And it's time to speak about the big team task we're going to have. These 2 weeks we'll be participating in peace initiatives and discussing them. And this work is so important that we don't want it to come to an end when the conference comes to an end. What we suggest for each team is to think of their own flash mob. A flash mob, or let's better say an activity oriented at peace that you can choose yourself. When we say flash mob, we mostly think go outside and dance in front of the camera. Not necessarily. The main thing will be is that your team agrees on just one activity that everybody is comfortable with, that everybody finds relevant, and that you all do it in your respective cities. It might be a video, if you don't mind video editing programs. When you sing a song together, record a message together, even maybe write a story together. It may be something to do with the social networks that you created and that you are registered in. Like you stole my idea about quote of peace every day. But using this, reviewing simultaneously a peace-related movie, thinking of an online challenge, and which is always a piece of magic for me, maybe even making a peace-related Instagram mask. Maybe you will decide to move outdoors, which might be difficult since this Delta Stamm is approaching. I don't want to mention it. But maybe you have in mind something along the way of planting a tree or cleaning a slot of land for peace. Or maybe you will choose to expand not the territory, but the number of people involved, and agree that each of you will do some kind of a talk in your class at school or a group at university. Or maybe that you will encourage your classmates or college mates to engage in an exhibition of peace drawings or an essay competition. Let me again repeat that this is all up to you. These are just the ideas, and I will send this presentation to you again after this day. Your ideas for flash mobs will be announced on the last day of our conference. Once again, I hope that you will choose something that you are comfortable with and that you find interesting. Just briefly checking the chat. I cannot check the chat, but I hope that there are no questions so far. If there are, I'm ready to answer them. And today, let us move to our first expert, because our day is dedicated to history and memory. We invited the deputy director of maybe the main and most famous museum in the Volgograd region, the Stalingrad Battle Panorama Museum. Annually, over 2 million people visit it, and our city's population is just 1 million. And if you were in Volgograd now, we would definitely go there too. So now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Sergey Ivanyuk, the Deputy Director of the Stalingrad Battle Panorama Museum, responsible for academic and educational activities.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Let me introduce the history which is kept in our museum. I would like to turn on the presentation. For its long history, the mankind survived a great amount of wars, but none of the military conflicts of the world history can be compared in scale with the greatest tragedy of the whole world, the Second World War, either fighting itself or public and economic consequences. Even now, it is not still possible to reasonably estimate the material losses of the countries which territories were influenced by the war. A lot of cities, including the capitals of some countries, were totally destroyed. There is also the lack of evidence about the human losses. According to various estimates, they range between 50 and 80 million people. The Second World War came to the Soviet Union on the 22nd of June 1941. Germany launched the military operation against the USSR, having by that time partially completely captured the territories of such European states as Poland, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. The aggression of German fascist invaders was only blocked near Moscow in winter of 1941. A year later, the greatest battle in the history of mankind took place at Stalingrad. For the first time since the beginning of the Second World War, the battle ended with the complete defeat of the German army and its allies. Let us watch the military chronic together to estimate the scale of this battle.
Yes. I believe it was worth it because we'll have a second video soon. Сергей Александрович, продолжим демонстрацию с вашего экрана, тогда презентация, а видео буду я включать.
Хорошо, хорошо, я понял.
Спасибо большое. I'm sorry to everyone about this. Hope I have figured this out now.
Именно Сталинградская
It
битва.
is the Stalingrad Battle that became the example of courage and heroism of soldiers and the piece of military art in the war history for the whole world. For 200 days, the bloody battles were being fought in Stalingrad and on the outskirts, during which the Soviet troops managed to defeat large forces of Nazi Germany and its allies. At the walls of ruined Stalingrad, the Red Army started its offensive, making the enemies withdraw. At the same time, the Stalingrad victory became a turning point in the history of the Second World War and influenced the growth of anti-fascist struggle, inspiring the national liberation movement of the peoples of Europe and Asia, and making ordinary people believe in liberation of Europe from fascism. On the 6th of February 1943, an American newspaper, New York World Telegram, wrote in its front page news the following: "The victory of the Soviet troops at Stalingrad resulted in an immense rise in Allied countries, where this victory is considered to be the evidence of the turning point of the whole war." The Stalingrad battle made it possible to expel the enemy massively from the occupied territories of the Soviet Union and the countries of the Western Europe. The victory in the battle on the Volga raised the international credibility of the USSR and its armed forces and became the key factor of the further strengthening of the Allied forces, intensification of resistance on the occupied territories, and the opening of the Second Front. At the same time, the fascist bloc cracked as the influence of Germany and its allies was undermined by the defeat of its troops in the Stalingrad battle. The price of such victories was very high. More than 1 million of the defenders of Stalingrad remained in its ground. 500,000 people became homeless, and the city itself was ruined by 90% as a result of barbaric bombardment and street battles. Reconstruction of Stalingrad began right after the end of the fighting. In November 1942, the authorities of the city, realizing the importance of the Stalingrad battle for the whole humanity, made a decision to collect the material and create a military history museum. And in spring 1943, a museum of the defense of Stalingrad was located at the basement of the Central Department Store, the building where the headquarters of the 6th German Field Army and its commander, General Field Marshal Paulus, were captured. Nowadays, in 75 years since the end of the Second World War, Museum Panorama Stalingrad Battle is a unique complex of museums and monuments dedicated to the military part of our city. It includes a world-famous memorial complex to the heroes of Stalingrad Battle on the Mamayev Kurgan, Museum Panorama Stalingrad Battle, Panorama the defeat of German fascist troops at Stalingrad, which is the one of the largest panoramas in the world, and the Museum of Memory, located in the basement of the Central Department Store. The staff of the Museum Panorama gathered the richest fund collection, which includes more than 170,000 units of storage, and more than 5,000 of these units are being exhibited. Among the exhibit of the museums, there are photographs, personal possessions, awards of the participants of Stalingrad Battle and the Second World War, banners and flags, live ammunition and ceremonial weapons. The Museum Panorama Stalingrad Battle has got a unique collection of presents given to Stalingrad by the world community as the tokens of appreciation for the heroic deed of the defenders of the city. The purpose and the goal of the activities of the museum staff are collecting, preservation, examination, and popularization of the object of the cultural heritage connected with the war history of Russia and Stalingrad Battle. Our mission is to keep the memory about these events, but the main thing is to tell people about the tragedy of war, about the things our ancestors had to come through to win the fight against fascism, and not let those events happen again. Museum Panorama Museum Panorama is one of the largest museums of the war history in the Russian Federation. It is also the most visited cultural and educational institution of the South Federal District. Annually, the museum staff organizes more than 30 exhibition projects in Russia and abroad, gives the tours, and holds museum events. Among a great amount of projects carried out recently, there are such brightest ones as, for example, International Exhibition Project Stalingrad Appeal to Peace. It is dedicated to Stalingrad Battle and includes a series of exhibitions opened in the cities of France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and Turkey. I would like also to tell you about these days. There is a work being organized in the museum on the international exhibition projects, and on Saturday this week, a new exhibition project will be opened, and it will be on the platform of Uruguay, Latin America. On the 3rd of September, we will open an exhibition in China, Beijing, and it will also be dedicated to Stalingrad Battle. And we are also preparing a new project, exhibition project, which will be realized in October, and it will be in Belgrade, Serbia. It will be in War Museum, and the exhibition will also be dedicated to the events of the Stalingrad Battle. Annual patriotic action called The Light of the Great Victory, held in the Museum Panorama, in another important event for the citizens of Volgograd and the guests of the city. Since 2016, annually, on days of festivities dedicated to the Victory Day, the thematic video projection installation to the sculpture Motherland Calls on the Mamayev Kurgan is implemented. In 2021, it was visited by about 100,000 people. One more annual event of the interregional level carried out together with the Russian Railways and its historic and patriotic project Military Train. It is the retro train with an open exposition which excludes the military equipment from the collection of the Museum Panorama. In 2020, this retro train was at about 30 stations of Saratov, Volgograd, and Astrakhan region. In the current time, the project is being continued. The length of the train, as well as the number of stations, is going to be expanded. Speaking time doesn't allow me to tell you more about the scale of our work. And our staff prepared a small video about the life of our museum. Let us turn it on.
So video 2, I guess. Video 2, I guess. Just a moment.
In conclusion, I would like to tell you that none of the photographs, none of the chronicles can give you the whole impression of the museum when you visit it personally. That is why I invite you all to visit Volgograd and to visit our museum, to visit our complex, to go to the Mamayev Kurgan just to see it with your eyes. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready to answer your questions if you've got any. Как скажете, Мария Георгиевна?
So maybe any comments, questions? Because you maybe saw the second video, the Mamayev Kurgan Memorial, and that's the second place we would have definitely gone with you during the conference in Volgograd, because it is most impressive. Well, if there are no questions so far, then I guess we can say a big thanks to Mr. Sergey Ivanyuk for his most informative presentation and a video compilation. And let us hope that we'll have a chance to take you to Stalingrad Battle Museum.
Вам большое спасибо. Всего вам самого наилучшего.
Thank you all, and have a successful work within the framework of this wonderful mission on peace initiatives. Thank you for the fact that you invited me, and be safe.
Also, Mr. Ivanyuk didn't mention it, but on August 6th, actually, his museum is doing another peace-relevant event apart from opening an exhibition. We'll go to the Stalingrad Battle Museum to ring the peace bell for the peace memorial ceremony. Which actually brings me to the continuation of our conference today. As you maybe know, now is the time for a discussion. And I would like to offer you some of the discussion questions. Never before have I shared my screen so much. So, we suggest you now to split into teams and discuss a bit. Why is it important to remember and learn history to preserve peace? How and why do cities and your cities preserve their history? And have heard it on the opening ceremony, but now revisit the question why it is important for your city to take part in the IYCPF. I will send these questions to all session halls. And now I suggest that we split into them and have a brief discussion. Anybody willing to take the floor?
Should I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. In answer to the first question of why is it important to remember and learn history to preserve peace, most of us said that it's because we have to make sure not to make the same mistakes twice, and by knowing what happened in the past, we can understand the costs. We can understand the costs and consequences of war, and also it's important because we need to be educated to be able to educate the next generation. On the second question of how and why the cities preserve their history, the Hiroshima, Muntinlupa, and Volgograd all said that we had museums that related to the World War II. And this helps to make an example for teaching and learning the devastating effect of war. And it also helps the new generation to learn as well, because they don't get that. I'll continue. The new generation can go to the museums to learn about the past. Volgograd Volgograd also mentioned that they discussed peace to remind people about the battle and the effects. And the last question of why is it important for my city to take part in the IYCPF, we all said that we had to take responsibility of this world in behalf of the people who have suffered and who are suffering currently. And Volgograd also said that it's a great experience for the students because we can think and discuss, as most of us only know the surface of the truth that has happened. IYCPF is an opportunity to share thoughts and develop relationships, and it opens and deepens our understanding of peace to the problems that needs to be addressed. So that's why we all thought it was important to take part. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Lily, very much. I'd like to draw a special attention that group number 1 was outnumbered for today. There were just 4 of them with the discussion, and they did splendidly. Now, team 2, Piece of Peace. Would you like to say something to us?
Okay. 1 second, please. Okay, the first question, why is it important to remember and learn history to preserve peace? Our opinion, this is important because we should learn all lessons that the war gave us. If we don't remember the history of the war, we will repeat same mistakes, and it will be horrible for any cultures in any cases. And the second question, how and why do cities preserve their history? Like, why we should do this? The answer is it's necessary for each nation to preserve its identity, share our history and cultures with the youth is important part of continuity of generations. Like we can lose our history, we will lose our culture, and it's horrible and bad because nobody will remember us. And I think it's so important to keep traditions in every culture that we have on the earth. And the third one, it's I think the most difficult questions because we have 4 cities at all, and why is it important for my city to take part in this forum? Like, what about Stalingrad? The Stalingrad suffered so badly in the years of the Great Patriotic War, when our people gave their lives for the peace. And during these terrible years of the war, Stalingrad made its contribution to the overall victory over Nazis. That's why I think it's important to share these horrible things with others to avoid it in future. And I think everybody should know that sometimes people do bad things and we should avoid it. And I guess about Hiroshima, we have the answer. Hayato?
Yeah, Hiroshima is also affected by the atomic bomb. So we need to pass down the next generation. And the IYCPF is a really good opportunity to share our opinion and expand how horrible the war and how the peace is important. The IYCPF is really great opportunity to share the idea for Hiroshima and the world.
The next one, Mohammed, your turn. About your city.
Yes. Tehran is a victim of chemical weapon in Iran-Iraq war. And as you know, Tehran is the leader city in the Mirrors for Peace network. And I think that IYCPF 2021 is an opportunity to raising the level of knowledge in the field of peace and familiarize with other culture, and then transfer what I've learned here with other cities in Iran to promote peace. Thank you.
Okay, and the last one but not least is Chengdu. I think Ethan has an answer for us. Hey, Ethan, are you here? Okay, I will read our answer for Chengdu. From a global perspective, peace and development are the themes of the world. Our city has responsibility to contribute to this aspiration of mankind. Lastly, by promoting peace, Chengdu wants to propagandize our culture and values. We hope to promote peace and cooperate with more sister cities in the world. It was the China's answer. Thank you for your attention.
Good, thank you for your discussion. And I agree completely that history is an important part of our identity. Now, team number 3, Great Mates. Please, your conclusion to the discussions.
Excuse me, is it Great Mates?
Yep.
Okay.
Please.
I will answer, yeah, thank you. I will try to answer the first question and my team member will answer the rest of the question. The reasons why we think it is important to memorize our history is that it is essential for us to understand ourselves and the world around us. Especially, it is important for us to memorize the ancestors in the past who suffered or even died from war and what it takes to make our current lives at present. So it is a kind of motivation for us to learn about the history. And more strategically, studying history allows us to observe and understand how people and society behaved. For example, we are able to evaluate war even when a nation is at peace by looking back at the previous events. And history also helps some of the countries and cities to regulate and create laws or theories about various aspects of society. And last but not least, we think that the importance of learning about history is that we can develop empathy through the process, because the reasons why nowadays we have these conflicts and discriminations around the world is that we haven't realized that at the end of the day, we are all human beings and we share the humanity. So by learning about history and the sufferings or the peaceful life in the past, we are able to develop our empathy from different diversified perspectives. So this is the reason why we think it's important to learn history.
Okay, good everyone. About the second question, how and why do the cities preserve their history? Because the history must be preserved so that we can learn from the past and link it to the present in order of that to reach a more peaceful and successful future. So we will take the positive things from the past and practice it in the present. So in order of that, we will have a good future and peaceful future. So, and how we can preserve by eradicating historical places and writing it down to learn from it. So we can teach all our children the bad things that happened and in the past, and in order of that, they will understanding what happened and to provide it. Thank you.
And for the third question, well, I'm from Hiroshima, but Hayato from Team 2 also mentioned it, but Hiroshima has an important role in this conference because the nuclear weapons was used to finish the war for the first time, and many people died from it, and even the survivor suffered even after the war ended. And for the city of Volgograd and Chengdu, in the Second World War, World War II, sorry. We had a strong link between the cities, and also what was the city from Nam's city?
Bangkok.
Oh, Bangkok. Thank you. And she mentioned it that Bangkok didn't have like a special, fight in the city, but in this conference they can learn about the war and how to preserve, how the importance of knowing the war. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Now, who else is ready? Can we switch to team number 4? Peace and friendship. The floor goes to you.
So we are going to start with the first question, which is, why is it important to remember and learn history to preserve peace? And we think that history lets us know about our identity, and that history, through history, we can think of a way of building a better future, and it allows us to observe and understand what we need to implement to create a better community. And lastly, how past systems were built to determine where we stand now. And question number 2 is, how and why do cities preserve their history? I think that cities preserve their history by conveying the history of, for example, hibakusha to other people, so that the history won't fade away. And to remember what happened in the past. And question number 3, why is it important for my city to take part in the IYCPF? I believe that taking part in IYCPF is a really big step to creating a global peace, because I think that working or participating in these kinds of conferences that promotes peace can help take further actions, not only in our local area, but also in other countries like Russia, China, and other countries. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe everyone will agree that an international event allows its main goal, make peace, to go international too. So everything logical. And team 5, peace education movers. Please, your turn.
Okay, I'll be the one. Okay, number one, the number one question is, why is it important to remember and learn history to preserve peace? So one of the things that our members share is that awareness is really important on every citizen of the country. We should know the history for us to not do the same mistakes again, and also to not repeat things that happened in the past, and also especially that we're seeing signs of events that is being done in our generation. Being part of the country, we have the rights to talk, and also we have the rights to share what our knowledge is. Next is, how and why do cities preserve their peace? So there are different different ways on on preserving our history based on our members. But one of the things that we remember is that our cities are building museums. We're building museums to preserve important artifacts, important things that we need for the younger generations to know. Especially, it's all about the history, to not repeat the same mistakes again. And also one thing is that, I don't know if it's in our country, but in different streets, cities, we name it to our national heroes or to different events that happened in the past for us to remember it and to be aware about it. And also the names of the citizen of the countries, just like, for example, Emilio. So Emilio is being named for a person to remember that current situation or current hero of the history. So the third question is, why is it important for the city to take place in the international conference? For us, it's really important for every city and every country in the world to be part of the international conference because we have our stories. Every cities and every countries of the world have stories that is related in promoting peace. And I believe, and we believe, that that story is important to be shared by everyone, also to promote understanding and world peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I like especially the notion that when history perpetrates into our names and into our streets, it's kind of around us and it enters our lives as well. So after the discussion, I'd like to thank all teams for their most valuable contributions. And I have a short question for you. First, would you mind if on our next meetings, I, for the element of surprise, change the order in which I ask the teams to speak? So, for example, team number 4 goes first, team number 5 goes second, team number 2 goes third. Because it's no fun to be waiting all time for your team to speak. And secondly, usually we give you 20 minutes for discussions. Could you please write in the chat, is it okay or will 15 minutes be enough too? Because I'm afraid we cannot make it last longer. But if you feel like you can have all questions discussed in 15 minutes, can you vote, please? Do we leave 20 or do we switch to a little less? Okay, I already see the first. Then 20 minutes or more is in fact necessary. Okay, fine. Thank you. Well, then those who are okay with 15 will have to just chill a little bit like I do. And maybe check our Instagram to put more likes. Then, to sum up our discussion today, I would like to announce your tasks, home tasks or team tasks. One last time I do this demonstration thing. So, you'll have 2 tasks. One will be for your city and another will be for your team. Let's begin with the team task because it's shorter. Next time we will meet on August 7. And during these days, I would suggest each of you to make a post on your team's page in a social network, speaking about one of the memorials that can be found in your cities. You don't have to choose the most famous ones, maybe the ones closest to your house. Maybe it's not a memorial, but a street that has a name that's of special significance to you. Just put up a picture from the internet and write what this memorial is about. And next, please now pay special attention because it will not be a team task, but a city task. The co-organizers of our conference are Volgograd and Hiroshima. I have just heard a lecture about Volgograd and its history. And on August 6th, Hiroshima will be remembering a very important and terrible date in its history. The anniversary since the day of the atomic bombing. Many Hiroshima's friendship cities, including Volgograd, will organize a peace memorial ceremony on that day as a sign of their solidarity. So the big task for your city teams will be to dedicate some time on August 6th to the memory of those in your country, in your city, who perished in wars and attacks. If you have in your city a small peace ceremony against nuclear weapons, for example, because that's the UN Day against nuclear weapons, we would suggest that you take part in it. And if your city doesn't have anything of the kind, we would suggest that you try to invent an activity of your own, maybe without even leaving your house. Do something to pay a tribute to those who lost their lives in the tragedies of the past, and thus reflect on the peace that we enjoy today. You may even use this opportunity to test some of the previous ideas for your eventual flash mobs. Let you choose the extent of activity up to your convenience. And when we meet next time on August 7, I will ask please each city to speak a bit about what they did on August 6th. Maybe without a presentation, just some photos or screenshots. Is it okay with everyone? Then I will be looking forward to seeing you on August 7. I thank you greatly for your work today. A round of applause to us all. Thank you, and wait for a new email from me. Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.